The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaru Productions.
Hi everybody, and welcome to another Tokutalk. God damn it.
Hello! God damn it, Jacob. Yes, hello people. Welcome back to another Tokutalk. I mostly made this one because it was late at night. I was just like, oh my god, I have to email this thought to myself before it goes anywhere. Two, I was thinking about, we have a new show coming up. So let's see exactly how they might be doing it. We haven't got anything for production staff or writers yet. Really, just don't bring back Sakamoto and we're good. But other than that...
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Power Rangers.
Well, that too. Yeah, other than that, this time we're talking about writing. Specifically, good versus bad versus lazy writing.
Where do you want to start?
We're going to start with the bad and with the good.
We're going to go bad, lazy, good?
Yes.
Okay, we'll start with bad. Do you have any particular bad writings that you want to talk about?
Ninjas.
Fuck.
And Ghost.
Because it's not... Yeah, because
Ghost.
No, I feel like Ghost was just lazy. I feel like...
It was.
Let's talk about Ninja.
It's like bad and lazy can be kind of interchangeable in this case.
Well, bad is the Ninja. Lazy is Power Ranger Samurai.
Yeah, he has a point. That's a very good point, actually.
Mm.
This is an extremely good point. And yeah,
Because
things like
the
that.
Ninja, you tried.
Things like that end up coming in when it ends up coming to adaptations. But
True.
let's talk about that.
No, it happens with the originals too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens with everything.
Build was pretty lazy near the end. Even I'll admit that.
But getting back to bad.
Bad. Ninja. You had this, you wanted to do fucking ninjas again, but you had to be different. So they're ninjas that don't hide. And then you gotta be shonen, but you're bad shonen.
The thing is, they base
shonen.
a character, and
There's good shonen.
I've yet to see it.
This is going to
My Hero
tie.
Academia.
This is
Never
going to
seen
tie.
it.
Shut
You
up.
should.
This is going to tie in with bad directing. Ninjas especially, because think about Takaharu. Of course, I've done a rant on this before, but this is something we're going to focus on specifically because they didn't really give him a character. He wasn't really good at anything, and we're going to say this about King too. I'm already good at this thing. I don't have anything to work towards. I beat Gabby Rizzo after losing to him once because
Power of Deus Ex writing.
that's really exactly what happened to him. I'm sitting here like, all right, it got bad because
I lost, but I'm better now for some reason.
he doesn't have a character.
Besides,
He has loud
he has I want to be the best.
that
Like
everybody
no one
already
ever
is. But it's just like you didn't give him anything but I'm shonen protagonist. I'm loud. Moe te kita, shut the fuck up. And nobody wants to hear that anymore.
They're like, no, I enough for you.
It's just like, all right, you're here to be loud. That's your character. You have nothing. You're just strong for some apparent reason. We didn't really give you anywhere to grow. We didn't give you anywhere to go. So you end up staying here and doing nothing except for some reason you're just stronger than you were before. You're not Zio. You're just a character that nobody wants to really deal with at this point.
I want to be a minute.
And then you end up having other examples of bad writing. Some of the things that go on, Jer.
I would like to bring up some Kamen Rider examples of bad writing.
Go for it.
There's shows that we've ranted about a lot.
Amazons.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Anyway.
Freaking
That's a rant for another day.
That
That's
is
a
a
rant
rant.
for a whole nother
Video.
Anyway.
God, I hate that show.
Anyway, I apologize.
Getting back to Kamen... Okay, Kiva.
Yeah.
Kiva is... There's a guy, he's a vampire thing, and he fights a monster, and now we're in another time period, and then he's gonna fight a monster, and then we go back to this time period, and then there's a monster,
And
he
there's a
fights
romance
it,
subplot.
and there's
nobody
kind of
really
a
wanted.
romance here, and yeah, I don't know.
And you're not a good enough character to drop.
There were so many good ideas in terms of writing in Kiva, the dual plot lines, the fact that the connectivity between the plot lines of the Monster of the Week got away in the 70s and he gets back. And
Yeah.
all
But
that,
it all comes down to execution, and
And it was
not
executed
not
pretty-
well.
and also the bad writing on the main character's part. Because
Yeah.
Wataru was a Wata bitch.
Sure. Nice. I would also like to bring up Decade.
Yep.
My phone.
Decade has
He's gonna visit all of these Kamen Riders. We can't get any of the actors. It's gonna be alternate versions of all these Kamen Riders.
We'll go to alternate universes, and he's gonna kill them all. And here's Narutaki, because we still don't know.
I'm pretty sure that might be the pinnacle of bad writing. To this day, we do not know his deal.
That is just like he just left him. He's left as a thread at the very bottom of the blanket. That no matter what you do, when you put your feet under it, that thread gets wrapped around your big toe. So
And you can't cut it off.
You can't cut it off.
You take the scissors to it, and then a new one appears.
No, you take the scissors to it, and it just keeps bending in the scissors, so it gets stuck between both blades. So you can never cut it. Every single time, the blades on the scissors just going like
No,
this.
it's the thread at the end of Hercules. And the chips of the scissors keep coming off.
The thread won't cut!
It's terrible watching.
I appreciate that
show.
analogy. Thank you.
Super
I love
Mega Force
Hercules.
is
Oh, yeah,
also
great
a bad example of bad writing. This is
A
something
bad
that
example of bad writing would be good writing.
No, it's a good example of bad writing.
you know what I meant.
We know what you meant. Super Mega Force was...
Nothing.
I would throw this more in the lazy category.
I feel like
straddles.
it straddles
there
both.
is a perfectly reasonable explanation for that explosion.
That's lazy.
That's lazy, and that sums up the entire show.
But we're not there.
But I'll give them this. At least I still give them the credit of acknowledging the color change for that line that prompted that line. I give them that.
It's funny in the moment, but when you really think about it,
3 years later, we're just
why?
sitting going, God, that was dumb.
Another example of bad writing is when things just end up focusing too much on one kid. This is something that only really applies to Sentai and PR, but when things only end up focusing on red. Masked Man is a great example of this.
Kyoryuger is a great example.
Kyoryuger is an example. I would say in Kamen Rider, it's when you're focusing on too many characters.
It depends on how it's handled.
Of course it all comes down to execution, but Wizard in particular, where you have all these characters and so many of them don't get any focus, but they're all just kind of there in the background.
Or they're just bad, like Shunpei. Or they're just ornery from Ghost. Like, they try to give him a point, but at the same time, you didn't do any... Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Javel.
And I'm Javel. Sorry, every time I heard his name. Every time.
He's a villain until he gets boost, and then he never does anything, and he shows up very inconsistently, and he doesn't build as a character. Another example.
Speaking of building as a character,
let's go ahead and talk about build.
Mm.
I'm not going to get too into it because we haven't reviewed it yet.
Yeah.
But
I haven't reviewed Ghost yet either, but let's count the amount of times we've ranted about it.
True. Evolto. This is a really, really good example of bad writing. You made this character too strong.
Too quickly.
Too soon. So no real threat was there. And then you just left them there to not really do much. Except all according to Keikaku. Because Keikaku means cake.
No, it doesn't.
But it's just like, alright, he could have killed everybody at any time.
Mm.
And the moment he got that monster form.
This would be like...
the moment he got Black Hole.
Yeah.
This is like if in the end of the first Avengers movie, when they teased Thanos for the first time, if he already had the gauntlet with all the stones in it and he just kind of sat there in his chair until Infinity War happened, that would be the equivalent of this.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not. Now,
that's incredibly accurate, actually.
Does this mean I hated Build? No, it does not, because people know I like Build. But I am aware of its problems. I acknowledge the problems, but I like the show.
Believe it or not, you can enjoy something if it has problems.
You can enjoy something that you know is bad.
Power Ranger Samurai comes to mind.
This is going to be a minorly bad thing, but Green and Black from Live Man.
Yeah.
As much as I love Live Man, I do have to agree.
All do.
Yeah,
as much as we love hashtag Vega Baby.
Yeah. But
you brought it up, bitch. You brought it up.
I think Vega Baby is hilarious, but at the same time, I also kind of think it's terrible because
it shouldn't exist.
Not that it shouldn't exist. That was his first story.
Yeah.
the first thing you do is let's get him pregnant. And it's like, okay, that's what you decided to do with him. Okay.
You're doing great.
All right.
Let's go into lazy writing.
The pinnacle, I think, of lazy writing is Power Ranger Samurai.
Because it's just...
I'm going to say the entire Neo Saban era.
I'm not going to say the entire...
I can't say because Dino Charge wasn't lazy.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Dino Charge was good.
It's just the fact that
until that ending.
They put that entire plot...
In the translator?
In the translator and picked exactly what they wanted to bring over.
Oh, then they had to take out... But yet, let's make all these white people samurai, but the guy can't be a sushi salesman because that makes no sense.
Instead, we just make him a fish salesman.
We'll make him a fish salesman because sushi is a...
Oh, then we're going to turn him into a
fish in it.
Then we're going to turn him into a fish. Or was that? I can't remember if that was samurai or...
that was both.
When he gets turned into
a
sushi.
Fish and becomes afraid of fish because of the...
Yeah, in Shinkenger it was sushi.
Yeah.
And Samurai it was fish. But it was the same plot, except with a different thing.
This Power Ranger Samurai really is like an abridged. It's like,
but not
it's
a
like
funny one.
No, it is funny. Power Ranger Samurai is.
It's not purposely funny.
Yeah, but it's still funny. But either way, Power Ranger Samurai really does feel like an abridged show because they took that 50 episode show and cut it down to 20 some episodes for the first season, however long it was, until they got to Super Samurai. And it's like, let's just take little bits and pieces, we'll copy and paste it over, use as much stock footage as we can, and not change, take little cherry-picked things about characters and build them around quirks. Or singular quirk, I should say.
Lazy writing really ends up boiling down to, okay, so we have this thing, but it's not ever explained why this thing is this thing.
Mm.
So we end up seeing something like Samurai. We end up seeing something like
Megaforce.
I
feel like Megaforce does. I feel like Megaforce is so much lazier.
No, Super Megaforce is also extremely lazy. You have discovered powers not yet seen by this Earth. Why?
Because we have stock footage and we got to use it.
Yes, we know the Boom Comics thing just came out with Year 2 and the Supersonic team being introduced.
Oh yeah, that was a thing.
Which was apparently really good.
It was what, Flashman?
5-man.
5-man. It was 5-man.
Apparently it's also really good. I haven't been able to find it online yet, but as soon as I do, I can't wait to read it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things like, alright, so we have this, we're going to call them technically extraneous because it doesn't come off of the main media that this is based off of.
Mm-hmm.
This is an extraneous thing that you also end up having to read to figure out exactly why this team exists. But at the same time, the Boom Comics continuity doesn't exist in the same continuity as the main show universe.
No. Because, that shit would not fly on spot.
So we just have this team to use.
What if Tommy was a villain? Still.
Mm.
Oh, and let's say he murdered himself.
3 times.
3 times.
And a very good storyline. But yeah.
It's like the Jet Li movie, The One, but with Tommy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Lazy writing ends up being just... I think it could actually be worse than bad writing. Because sometimes bad writing can sometimes be enjoyable.
Yeah.
Bad writing, you can also go...
Because I think Samurai's bad writing is enjoyable. It is lazy, but I think it is a little bit more bad because they wanted to just directly translate it for one reason or another. But for Megaforce, I feel like it's more egregious because it feels like they just threw darts at a board.
And
fair.
We said this,
and we're just like, "Yep, that's what we're gonna do."
We said this in our in comparison with Megaforce, and this is also something we're gonna say in our comparison with Super Megaforce. A good, really good example of lazy writing there is just Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Noah doesn't match.
Yeah, the body language.
He doesn't match them.
Like so when they threw it at the dartboard, 90% of the dartboard was just the word nostalgia bait.
Yeah.
So they threw it at that and hit that, and then they were like, "Okay, so Mighty Morphin, let's do that again." Except, let's just do that.
And at the same time, having there's boring in the lazy writing, and I say this because it's more of a problem in modern Sentai, where Sentai means squadron, a team.
Yes.
But who do we focus on constantly? Red. That happened in Kyo Ryuja. That happened in Tokuuja. That happened in Ninja. That happened to an extent in Zyuohger. And it also happened to an extent in Q Ranger, but much less.
Yeah,
I feel like
fucking Christ.
I feel like Lupat actually does this really well because
There are two reds?
I was going to say, now you got two reds
Well,
to focus on.
No, it's that. But it's
Megan
also
Jones.
the fact that it's much more focused on the team. When is the last time that we got so much focus on a non-red character like Pink, for example?
And I think one of the big...
Tsukasa gets a lot in Lupat. You actually spend, if you think about it, you spend a lot more time with her and green and blue and yellow, just as much time as you end up spending on red, because Lupat is a very character-based show. You know a lot about these people. You know a lot about this entire team, but you don't really know as much about, and I've seen people complain about this, I wanted a lot from the villains. This is not a villain-based show.
Yeah,
This is a character-based show.
Character
And
is
it's not
hero-based.
lazy in the fact that we, once again, they showed this is a team-based show.
If I can make a transition into good writing, piggybacking off what you were saying about Lupat, one of the biggest strengths that Lupat has going for it is that it is, for the first time, we have two teams of conflicting ideologies, and because they're so small, it's 3 teams, or 2 teams of 3, sorry, and because you have that smaller scale, whereas you coming off a Q Ranger where there's like 80,000 Rangers, or one team of 5 or 6.
It's like,
and it's that contrast that really allows them to play off of each other.
you have a total of 7 people in this team, but it doesn't feel overwhelming.
No.
And something is always happening in Lupat. Like, yeah, there might be episodes that can sort of filler, but that's because these are, as I said, this is a very character-based show, so these are the episodes where you're just like, all right, I can find out more about why Tsukasa likes animals or why she is the way that she is. Because her family, she comes from a line of police officers. And Keiichiro wanted to be a police officer because he really admired one when he was a kid. And Sakia did too. And then we found out about the other, Patron Nigo, and it's just like, all right, so that's why he's not there anymore.
I just have one question.
What's that?
How often do you keep doing this?
A lot, because it shows how fed up I am with people talking bad about this show, because it's just like, I want so much more from this. Why does it feel like the plot isn't moving? Bitch, yes it is. It's just the fact that the plot is tied to characters. It's not tied to villains as much in this show. If you want something like that, go watch Geki Ranger. This is not the show for that. Lupat is very much so like Deca Ranger, where it's very focused on characters.
Which is, yeah. And we had an entire Tokutalk about episodic.
And that's another show where the villains barely come into play at all because it's all hero focused.
Yeah. That's just how Lupat is, but it's, it's much more on the cop side, of course, in that show.
And I think another great example of writing in Super Sentai, I'm going to go ahead and say Gokaiger, because Gokaiger, it's not particularly character focused. It's very much hero focused in the sense of
Sentai's
celebrating history. And the writing is very good at doing that.
Yeah.
And the writing's consistent. I think
it is consistent.
I think another aspect of good writing is just innovation. And I think that's sort of what made Q Ranger work a little bit more for me, even though there are lips in those helmets. I think that's the thing that made Q Ranger work a little bit more for me, because as we said, the universe has already been taken over. This is something new that they haven't done before.
Yeah. This rebellion thing.
Yeah, and here we are.
And then also they introduced concepts like time travel, and they didn't fuck it up. Look at you.
Well,
look at you, Dino Charge.
It's not so much time travel, it's more, sort of. Actually, yeah, the Orion episodes.
Yeah.
I was thought you were the dimension hopping episodes.
No. I'm talking about the Orion episodes where they literally go back in time, and then the robots wait, and then the dragon gets put on ice for 1,000 years or some shit.
Yeah.
So it's literally time travel, and they don't fuck it up. Looking at you, Dino Charge. I'm gonna make so many goddamn paradoxes.
It's just an X amount.
I think another great example of a hero-focused show that the villains aren't the greatest, but it all works out in the end, and that's Ultraman Mebius.
I was on... Oh, yeah.
Ultraman Mebius, going back to the very first episode, what I still think is one of the best first episodes ever. Matt, listen to this. Getting back to that, every single character has a reason for being there. And it's so well integrated into the story.
And also, they call him out on his shit. You blew up the city. You fuck. Stop doing that.
It's not so much they as it is one character. But, but that
better than nothing.
But that the idealism of Mebius versus the pragmatism of I forget the character's name. Rio. The way they clash in the beginning and how they change and evolve as a result of that.
How do we not talk about Operation Overdrive during bad writing?
We did. We touched on it because Dax. Oh, wait, no, that was a different video.
That was a different
Dax
video.
exists. Bad writing. But yeah,
Just making your characters terrible, unlikable people.
Moebius does it
That's a
perfectly.
bad writing.
Rewatching In Space, like the way that they just built up that story throughout that entire show. We set up the whole Corona thing at the very beginning. These characters are coming directly off of Turbo, but they are out of their element.
Well, let's also remember that they're coming straight off of like half of Turbo.
Yeah. We didn't really get a lot with the In Space Turbo team
Mm.
at the tail end of Turbo, but we get a lot more from them in Space. We learn more about these characters, what their motivations are, things of that nature, especially when they start moving away from doing anything on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
There's just like, all right, here we are. Lost Galaxy is another great example of this because I think when it ends up coming to adaptations, it doesn't necessarily have to, be either one, a plot for plot
Copy.
like well, I'm not even gonna say plot for plot because they do it all the time. Time Force
Or Samurai.
We're talking about good.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, Time Force, did that. Lost Galaxy gave us something completely new. They said it way out in outer space.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, they set it in outer space before they watched the Sentai footage.
But they still made it work.
Or
in
RPM.
space. RPM did it perfect, well, almost perfectly. Because there is an example of lazy writing here.
What is that?
There is a tie-in to just how they did a certain character's plot in terms of another show that we just talked about. RPM with Dylan and Tanaya to In Space with Andros and Corral.
That and also to Operation Overdrive, Red being actually being a machine, but they handled it well. I give him this where In Space kind of handled the sister plotline better because it was a motivation for Andros.
Yeah.
But with this one he had no memory, so it's kind of different.
Kuga's another example of good writing.
I was gonna say, let's bring up some Kamen Rider examples.
Kuga is great. It's a character-based show, but everybody has a lot of people. They're all tied into Godai, but it's like everybody, the detective, everybody who ends up working with Godai to figure out what these symbols mean, all of that. It's just the fact that they all end up getting their own plot line.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like nobody stagnates. They don't just sit there throughout the rest of the show. This is a show about characters. This is a J drama. It makes this work in just pure scale of what we got from it.
Mm-hmm.
Gaiman's a good example.
I think Gaim is a good example, and I also think Forza is a good example. And
Except in the 30s.
I think, here's why.
I think it's good writing for what...
Forza, I think, has good
itself.
writing. Well, that's the thing. It's overarching theme. They committed. We're going to make a show about friendship, set it in high school. It's going to be about space.
They fucking
and they committed
down.
They tripled down. They put all their chips on it. And I think it paid off because they committed so well to it.
Yeah, my biggest...
They don't stray from it at all.
Yeah, I can... My biggest things, with Forza, besides the friendship thing, which I think can be a little too hammered in at some points.
Heavy-fisted, yeah. Or heavy-handed.
Heavy-fisted.
Heavy-fisted. That's his boy choice name. Anyway, is some of the aesthetics aren't great. I don't like the cone head. I
like that.
I understand.
But we're focusing on writing.
But that's not
Yeah,
writing,
but
though.
I'm just saying. I'm explaining.
Well, I mean, somebody at one point had to put
you
up
know
a
what is
design
bad writing in
documents.
Forza? McDonald's. And you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about.
Goddamn food.
Honestly, that never bothered me that much.
I think because, there are some things where they have to push things from Bandai. So they have to get it in there whatever way they can. This is Drive's first half, by the way. Before they really got everything with that second half in there, making Drive just, a really good show. It's just like we end up having that terrible first part.
For some reason, you said Drive. I thought Build. I don't know why.
No, Build didn't get good.
But getting back to
Started
Gaim. Getting back to Gaim.
That was a very well-written show. Especially for when you're given that theme of fruit and then you're being told breakdancing's going to be involved and then you're told ninjas and samurais and you're just like, I can do this.
It's not just that, but
credit to me.
For me, it's more so the way Gaim's story evolved throughout the course of the show.
Yeah.
How it started off as like a silly breakdancing show. Then
turned into
it kind of started off as a shonen sports anime, but with breakdancing, and monsters were thrown in,
And
and then eventually, and it turns into, and it evolves into all-out war, and it progresses and progresses.
with a couple
until we
stops
get
at soccer.
Soccer and the goddamn Kikaider.
When it actually became a
But
sports anime.
I feel like the Kikaider episode really wasn't the choice of the writers.
Oh,
they
no,
were told
totally.
they had.
Oh yeah, that was that and
that is Toei going to include
that and the Tokuger Spring Break special, where they were like, do this.
Though I will admit, when I think it was Tokuger and Drive at one point. No, it was Ninja.
Mm.
I didn't mind that one so much because it was fun to watch him go Technic and shoot all of them. It felt good in my soul.
I will say this. There is a couple of examples of ladies writing in game.
Yeah.
Those last couple episodes, the fact that the fight wasn't nearly as long as it should have been.
I'm not going to say that's lazy.
I feel that's more of they ran out of time. It was.
Yeah, I don't know why they were trying to get Drive started so quickly.
Honestly, I feel that way about a lot of Orobuchi stories. They just kind of have the endings just aren't very good. I feel that way about a lot of his work. Where like it'll start a little more innocent, and then it ramps up, and then it just kind of fizzles out at the end.
No, I can.
That's how I feel about a lot of his writing.
Monica got around up by having a movie.
Yeah, but if we're talking just the show, yeah, he kind of makes a valid point. But it doesn't mean I did not enjoy the ride any less.
Yeah. Now, we've gone over a lot of examples here. Let us know what your examples of good, bad, and lazy writing are in the comments below.
Or on Discord.
We'll talk about it there too. But we like having you in the comments.
True. Because YouTube, it makes YouTube think we are doing well.
Sure. Like us, right, guys? Yeah.
Give us a thumbs up.
Extreme.
Smash that like button.
You did not just say extreme, you son of a bitch.
I did.
It is not 2002.
Isn't it, though?
No.
It's always 2002.
It's almost 2019.
Total radicalosity, man.
And then you just kill yourself and it's all good. Because you're just like, really?
Bad.
Those are the words you want to use?
Bad, Marcus.
But yeah.
Follow us on all the things. And let us know what you think.
Those things include Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and Discord.
And Instagram.
And that.
Yeah.
And, fucking damn it.
Bye, everybody.
See you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.